Hello everyone, we are today here in Lower Austria with Patrick, the owner.
Hello.
And more important, the restorator of this wonderful Kettenkrad, and we had a ride today already, and he built it basically from scratch and asked my community on Patreon, Subscribestar and on YouTube, and also some friends, if you have any questions for you, particularly of technical nature, because you have quite some experience with driving this thing in mud and snow. And so the first question is from Havna on Discord. What is his experience of handling it in the mud? It is generally seen as a great little vehicle for muddy conditions, but we know regular half-tracks did already struggle with them, hence the Raupenschlepper Ost is a purely tracked supply vehicle.
There exists some documentation about the Kettenkrad where they mentioned that it performed in deep mud better than bigger half-track vehicle. Also, it had the big drawback of the Schachtellaufwerk.
Yeah.
So it got stuck with the mud.
Road wheels, yeah.
The interlock thing.
Interleaved, yeah. I learned this in my first years.
You have to deal with the problem that the mud, also in the cold, when it starts to freeze, got stuck, and you're unable to remove the mud. So you lock your vehicle down because then
it's interlocked, yeah.
Interlocked, then
it's interlocked.
Because it all froze and you're unable to unstuck the tracks from the rollers and the rollers itself. There was some tools also on the car. Also the Kettenkrad was delivered with some tools for cleaning the tracks and remove the dirt and the frozen snow. But when it comes to rest overnight, it froze down and it was only unable to move. But this problem has all of the tracked vehicles in this muddy condition.
So the next, sorry. Okay. The next one is from Holly. Does it have the same problem as the Sonderkraftfahrzeug 250, 251 with the tracked pins which need oiling and therefore have a big problem with mud/dirt? How many hours of maintenance are required for hours of operation in your case, in his case?
The Kettenkrad has also the grease lubricated track links and needle bearings in the track links, and normally they was sealed with seal rings, and when you grease them. Yeah, when you grease them, you haven't much problems with the bearings. I can't say much about how often you have to grease them because I only had real 50 kilometers on this track since the restoration, and till today I didn't re-grease them after I greased them before I put it on the Kettenkrad.
Yeah, so your wear is very limited. Very important here for people that might not know. So basically the Germans had two types of tracks, grease tracks and non-grease tracks for the half-track specifically. And you have the grease tracks for all vehicles that go faster than about 20 kilometers per hour. So Kettenkrad, the half-track 250 and 251, and specifically the Raupenschlepper Ost and the Wehrmachtsschlepper. They were slow-moving half-track or tracked vehicles, and they had ungreased tracks.
Yeah, so dry pin.
And this was also for logistical reasons, because you don't need to go slow, you also don't need to grease them.
You shouldn't grease dry pin tracks because the grease performs with the dirt to a great grinding paste, and wear tracks and track pins more than usual.
So what's your experience with hours of maintenance required for hours of operation?
Hours of operation.
Yeah, you didn't operate
So
it.
you have a normal maintenance list when and it was told in you have to grease every grease fitting all 100 kilometers or 500 kilometers or all 1,500 kilometers. You have to re-grease the wheels, the swing arms, and the track length. This depends on what grease fitting. So there was special plans, and it's hard to say because now to drive it for fun and not for a real purpose or for real need, you don't arrive the maintenance specification.
So basically, you don't have experience that you don't have. Yeah,
so because it's as a highly maintained member, so it needs a lot of work
high
to
maintenance. It's high maintenance.
To do you have much grease fittings to feed, and also the gearbox also to change, and engine oil to change, and it's so when you have to do the maintenance, it's a lot to do.
Okay.
But on a half day, you have all changed, all lubricated.
So if you do a full or let's say a medium maintenance tour, it's basically 4 hours or something.
When a medium only regrease the points who needs often much oil or grease. You have 1 hour, 2 hour.
Okay, so half a day, 4 hours is a complete overhaul, more or less.
Yes.
Okay.
When you put the tracks above on the ground, so you can spin it and re-grease all the fittings. But this work I till today haven't done it.
Okay. So the next question is, can you drive it without the front wheel? Here, a bit of technical information first. At a certain degree, the tracks basically support the steering. So what is the answer here? Can you drive without a front wheel?
You can drive without the front wheel, yes. But when you do that without the front wheel, you know when you do it that for what the front wheel was on this vehicle, because it started to go this. So when you want to drive straight forward, you always had to drive this while you have no much straight support for going straight.
Ah, okay.
This the main point of the front wheel. It keeps your car straight, and the Kettenkrad going fast forward. And you can, with the front wheel, adjust. You are going forward a little bit. This is when you...
So the front wheel is more or less for a stabilization to drive, and less for steering.
Yes. If you disconnected the steering brakes and try to drive it only with the front wheel drive, or you have broke the differential, you are basically unable to do narrow curves. You can going forward and a little bit to the left and a little bit to the right, but that is all you can do. Okay. It's basically unsteerable with only the front wheel.
So next questions are from Minion from Patreon. Question 1. Apart from the intended military role, I've heard that they are great for forest management in hilly terrain as a vehicle for use in agriculture or silviculture. How does a Kettenkrad compare to a modern equivalent like a quad bike, apart from being way cooler? So do you have experience with a quad bike?
I drove something similar 15 years ago, a small quad for going to work. And I would say that a modern ATV or a quad is the one-to-one equivalent to a Kettenkrad, even when you use it with tracks. A quad with tracks.
Okay. You can get a quad with tracks?
Yes.
Okay.
So without you dismounted the wheels and put tracks on it.
Okay. I didn't know. So
armies use them.
So I guess the modern quad is a bit more comfortable, but besides,
It's the same. It's equal. You can it drives like a quad.
Okay.
But because it was so narrow and higher than narrower, it wants to roll over when you go to side hilling.
So you need to be more aware what you're doing. So this is a bit more dangerous, but
Yes.
else I mean, quad are already
And-
quite dangerous, I think. Certainly.
Yes, and you also have a big drawback with the tracks without ice cleats on snowy grounds.
Yeah. So question number 2, it's a quirky design. What did they get right and what did they get wrong?
As for the technically interested person, they do all right. For the service guys and the man who had to repair in worse conditions, this vehicle they do all wrong. Also basically standard German over-engineering.
So the engineers love it and the maintenance guys hate it. Okay, question number 3. If you were going to accessorize, what would you add? Accessoires.
So on the original Kettenkrad trailer.
which we have here.
This is the EF8. It's the Infanteriekan.
Ah, sorry, yeah. Okay, that's okay. Sorry. Yeah.
It's the cheap way of
That's
to have a trailer
that's not
for
the
the Kettenkrad.
Sonderanhänger.
No,
Okay, yeah.
that's the Infanteriekan.
Okay, question number 4. How does it handle in the snow, mud, and sand, etc.? I think you don't have experience in the sand.
Only a little bit sand because after the high water for 2 years ago.
Okay.
But on sand, also on loose sand, it drives like on fluffy snow.
Okay.
And on sand, you have not a problem with get your track stuck with snow and ice.
So how does it now handle in the snow?
Great. But it's with only the rubber pads, it's nearly impossible to drive it fast.
It's
quite
Kettenkrad
dangerous.
drift, yeah. we will edit some in. And how is it in the mud? I mean in local mud, not
No normal dirt.
Eastern front
only
mud.
it drives. You don't notice really much changing. Only the steering got easier because the street give you less friction to the front wheels. You can steer easier on icy, snowy, sandy ground.
Okay, next one. Jasper Welsh? I don't know. Sorry if I butchered your name. I collect military vehicles and it's known that anything with tracks is a problem. Do crad tracks require any lubrication or does everything just grind? Yeah, they require lubrication. We covered that.
They had needle bearings.
Yes.
A lot of needles.
If parts are meant to be replaceable, can you find those parts?
Nowadays you have the luck that you got a lot of reproduction parts. With more luck you even got hands on usable original parts, or sometimes you also got new old stock parts. But it's you also can play lotto.
Lottery, I think in English, yeah.
And all what you didn't have, where you don't get your hands on parts, you have to manufacture for your own.
Which you were able to do that. And the next question, do you have to fabricate special tools or parts?
A lot, also.
And you have a lot of tools
There was
at home
also
already.
a original maintenance list for the Kettenkrad by the Wehrmacht, a service
Den
doctrine,
Instandsetzungsliste, ja.
who shows you some of special tools to remove the wheels, to special parts for the gearbox, special tools for the engine, to you're able to disassemble your Kettenkrad.
finally, do you have to modify modern fuels and lubricants or the systems that use them? For instance, zinc has been removed from the automobile engine oil in the United States of America. You didn't think about this before, it seems.
I'm not sure if I had the. I am this unit of zinc. I thought about the zinc under the washing table.
No, for the oil and lubricants, all this stuff.
I use. So I have also other vintage cars, and I use specially oils what was produced today, but with the specification of older machines.
Okay.
So it's possible you can, when you use modern oils, it will corrode your gear or your metal parts. So I use special vintage car oil for the wool.
But you don't drive leaded fuel?
No.
Okay.
This engine don't need. Also,
okay.
Now, back in the day, they didn't have leaded fuel.
Okay, it came after the war.
Yes.
Okay, I didn't know that. Okay, then the next question from Paul Ramos, sorry, I think you're from Spain originally, might be wrong. Do they have cleats for winter/ice?
They have it, and you need them, but I have no to show you.
I guess the answer is yes, but are they chain specific? How do they break? Single pin, cold start procedures?
What do they mean? How do they break?
I don't know. Are they chain specific? Can you answer that?
The change on the Kettenkrad was always the same. So when you use it in winter or on icy ground, you need the Schneeketten for the Ketten. That was basically small chain link parts. You can snap on the rubber parts of the track, so you got more traction on the ice. And for a very special purpose, there also existed Winterketten. They had a welded-on extension on one side.
So like the tanks, yeah.
So you reduce your pressure on the ground. And sure.
Cold start procedures?
Cold start procedures. Nowadays, there was not much cold where you have to special procedures. When you start it, you give it a little idle so it warms up, and then you can drive it slowly at first. The oils got a little warm, and when you have 60-degree water temperature, you can send it.
And back then, for the Eastern Front, do you know?
There was a lot of special.
I think you have a manual, right?
There was existing a special manual for Winterbetrieb when you have to mix gasoline in your oil to thin the oil for starting procedure, because the batteries were so weak, in the cold, and have the starter have not power to reach the starting RPMs. And you also the existing small heat lamps for the battery to preheat the battery, so the battery has more power. You also are equipped with a gas burner, a torch.
Yeah.
A torch, so you can pre-warm the gearbox housing, the side gearbox housing, so the grease got soft, and you are able to move the vehicle without breaking any weak gearbox parts.
So yes. The next question is from Adam Schindler, sorry, from Patreon. How much can it do on a relatively flat terrain? As far as I know, that was about half a ton, right?
Normally at 480 kilos or 500 kilos, but they will tow as much as the chains have traction on the ground. Or the gearbox parts say no.
According to my source, it's 450 kilogram for the trailer load, which is about 992 pounds. and it could carry an additional weight on the vehicle itself of 325 kilograms, which is about 716 pounds. So the next question is from Jessica Brisbane on Patreon. How does the transition from the front wheel steering to track steering feel?
It depends on how you adjust the slack between the front wheel steering and the gearbox steering, so the brake steering. You can adjust this point, and when you let it really loose, so this switch point, you feel it because the track's going to overcome the front wheel. You start to steer, but you're going straight forward. And at the braking point, when the brake got in action, you start to move in the direction you steer. And you can adjust this point on your own personal feeling when you can deal with the overcoming the front wheel and start in the steering process of the gearbox.
Okay. Next ones are from Andrew. The email. Thank you very much, Andrew, for all the reviewing and all the other support over the years. How did you get the parts for the rebuild?
Throwing money.
Throwing money and time.
Yeah, contacts. You made a lot of contacts with other Kettenkrad owners. You scan eBay, you scan Kleinanzeigen, you scan any other portal where basically parts shows up. You have a lot to deal with finding out who was original parts and who was only reusing pictures and would scam you on parts. It's a big problem. They also used pictures from my restorations, and they try to sell with parts from parts that never exist because they was used in my Kettenkrad.
Okay. So basically this Kettenkrad is built from some original parts, some rebuilt parts, and some reproduced parts. So reproduced like from yourself and some...
I got measurements from friends, or I have bad ground findings, and I take off the measurements and then I refabricate the parts and reuse it. Yes.
Like this one from the front.
This is the left fender of my Kettenkrad front. It was too much to rebuild. Too much damage. But good for measurements.
So how does the engine complexity compare to other vehicles you have worked on? Does you prefer something like the Kettenkrad or a more modern vehicle? Assuming you also have experience with more modern vehicles, and as far as I know you have.
Yes, but the Kettenkrad engine, the Opel Olympia engine, was a really modern engine for its time. The Olympia engine with 1.5 liters was a really modern engine at this time, and they built this engine till in the 70s.
Oh, okay. So it's pretty good, and it's a good
rather
engine,
simple. And the engine itself, they also chose this Olympia engine for the Kettenkrad because it was known in the Opel Olympia, and they all are very happy with its reliability.
I know this problem. But I have 10 years of experience with butchering words, and sometimes I get them wrong by accident.
And they also are easy to maintain.
Perfect. How is driving the Kettenkrad similar or different from other vehicles you have driven?
It's completely different.
Except for quads? Except
for quads, yes. But it's also different. It's like you're driving a Jeep or a Land Cruiser. It's a special feeling. Depends on this special construction. Hard to describe. Yes, you have to feel it.
I mean, I drove it today the first time. The main issue is I've never driven a motorbike before. So I mean, it's good that I started with a Kettenkrad, I guess. but
you can't overroll
yeah.
on flat surface.
You don't have to put a foot down. So I have experience with bike and with cars. So I would say for me, it kind of drove like a car. But then again, I have very little experience.
It's when you drive a quad, you could drive this easily.
Yeah.
The only difference is this had a non-synchronized gearbox. You need to know how you shift gears with.
Yeah, I didn't shift. I didn't shift intentionally. I was like, okay, I'm happy it's running, and I don't fall over. Yeah.
And I don't learn unsynchronized gear shifting on this vehicle. I have another vehicle where I learned the shifting without the synchronized gearbox.
You have a T34.
No.
So, if we assume you're in a safe area with no fighting, would you feel relaxed or worried if you were told to go on a mission in bad conditions? There's extremely low temperatures, deep snow, etc. In other words, do you think this would do well transporting supplies on the Ostfront? I mean, you have you were conscript like I was, so at least you can relate a bit to that. So would you prefer this vehicle or another one on the Ostfront?
Back in the day, when you are lucky when you were a Kettenkrad driver because you have some heat. You have not so to dealing with the cold and the temperatures. But
in terms of safety,
between two fuel tanks,
at the front, 2 times 21 liters.
And yes,
it's unarmored.
It's not war generally was not a good place, but
I guess it really depends if you're behind the front or the partisan activity.
Maybe when you the work where the 2 lane cables could be a nice watch-up.
I think his question is mostly extremely low temperatures, deep snow. It's about a technical question in that sense, less about the.
Yeah.
So in a safe area with no fighting, yeah, he said.
So there's no problem, but when.
So it's basically on the technical side, you would trust this vehicle.
You could trust it, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
When they have the time to do the maintenance and the preparation for cold weather, then it would be reliable. You also can hand crank it when your battery dies, so you're on a good side with this car.
Okay. So the next one is, if the Kettenkrad broke down due to weather or minor battle damage, for instance, a piece of shrapnel takes out one component, do you think a small unit could easily make field repairs in a short time? Or would it be something like take the Tiger's engine out with a crane to make basic repairs sort of situation?
Since I have dealt with some gearbox issues on this Kettenkrad, I'm good at it to take the engine out and in one day.
So most experienced units should not have a problem with it.
You should not have a problem, but when it was major damage, I don't think they would try to repair it. Because when you have deformations in the frame, you have not a tank frame was stiff, and you couldn't, after you drove over a mine, you replace the swing arms and the torsion bars and the rollers, and you're good for it. There's nothing left when you drive on a mine.
But minor damage,
But when there exist also pictures when they have a broken idler wheel arm that they only shortened the tracks and drove without the idler wheel so that they can move to a maintenance point and get the parts they need for sending back to fully functional condition.
A lot of these were actually used, particularly in late war, for Panzer Division units for the maintenance unit. So in a way, there probably it was even less of an issue. So, have you hauled anything with the Kettenkrad? If so, what was the experience like?
Hauled? I have the EF8, the Infanteriekarren, and it had a coupling bar for it, so you can tow it into the Kettenkrad. You don't notice the load between. There are other experience from other drivers. They say when you have heavier load when you tow, or also when you tow a vehicle, with the Kettenkrad, you have to steer more to overcome the brake friction for going left or right when you tow heavy loads. So you lose some turning radius when you tow heavy things.
Okay, the final question is from DDP Research 07, or maybe DD Research 07. I think the first one is correct on YouTube. Thank you very much. Were they actually built for all weather service? Did they imagine them in the sand of North Africa or in deep snow?
Yes, both situations.
Okay.
In first time the first use was in warmer conditions. Then the
Crete, you mean?
Crete, maybe. I read it
Right.
in some papers that they mention it has good drivability, and they increase the fan speed, so it can deal better with the hot air. And also they mentioned then maybe it was good for dealing with the mud in the Ostfront, and so they also send it in the Ostfront and use it there.
So it's a bit more complicated because we don't really know the exact origin of this vehicle. We had a discussion before in German, where basically we don't really know from the actual information that is provided if it was originally, as some sources claim, an agricultural vehicle that was then adopted by the military, or if this maybe was a ruse or a deceit and it was intentionally named as an agricultural vehicle, which was done very often for the tanks. But since this was 1938, there's some doubts of it. At the same time, it's a very complicated vehicle for a simple agricultural vehicle. What we know for sure, because I found pictures of this in the German military archives, there's a report from about March 1940 where they tested this vehicle on the Glocknerstraße, on the Glockner Street, which is the street for the Großglockner in Austria, which was finished in 1935. And so from the pictures, this was likely done in winter 39-40. And they specifically tested, and we also know from a document from 1944, where they say, what is this vehicle used for? And there's a lot of things for the mountaineer troops and the others for the tank troops, for the tank divisions. And as you mentioned, there was a special mechanic to change the fan speed.
They have an additional gearbox in it to increase the speed.
So what we generally know from German vehicles, they often had like a Tropen, which means tropical variant, where they had a different filter or they made minor changes like this. So the question is, was it intentionally designed for this, for tropical terrain? Probably not, but as with nearly all other vehicles, they adapted it, I guess.
They made a ground so it runs in mostly Europe, in the climate conditions of Europe, and when they go to hotter climates, they added more cooling and increase water.
There was some where I think it was intentional. For instance, the Sonderkraft was like 234. I think it was originally. I think it had the Tropen at the beginning of the, or at one point at a name. But yeah, as always, it's hard if you don't have a primary source that really states the requirements for the vehicle. It's really hard to tell for what it was intended. In this case, we know it was very early on tested for mountain terrain. So for snow, I would say definitely yes. Also from the whole design and everything. But for its North Africa, hard to tell. I guess the military to a certain degree had always in mind kind of that it's adaptable, but I don't think probably that it was intended originally for that. Because I mean, I haven't read too many requirements, but I think, I mean, from all the requirements I remember, I mean, from the Schwimmwagen, I think they specifically, they did a test where they mentioned in the test for swamps like in North Africa or something. But that vehicle was already built during the war. And that's something in this, from what we know, this was started in pre-war, like in 1938. And there's a question if they had in mind tropical. I don't think so, but they adapted it definitely.
But I think he had it in mind for going in swamps and deep dirt.
Yeah, for that
because
definitely.
They had all of the beginnings. They had a super effective sealant of the road wheel bearings.
Yeah.
To keep dirt and mud and snow.
For mud and snow, definitely. For the sand of North Africa, I mean, for the sand, probably yes. For the sand in North Africa, for the heat, probably not.
They switched the air cleaner a few times in the production. They going for a normal air cleaner to an all-bath cleaner. And
okay. Was it built for all weather service? Okay, that's the question. Was it intended? I answered the question with, was it intentionally designed for that? I went a bit too strict. So yeah, it was at a certain point. It was built for all weather service. I would say
for snow and
definitely for that. At one point it was, but intentionally originally designed. I would say definitely for snow and mud, but not North Africa probably. But it was easy to adapt for that. Okay. So thank you very much for all supporters. And also a big thank you to Patrick. Thank you for watching and see you next time. Bye.
Bye.